You were telling me before the show that the types of clients that you were attracting to kind of replace, kind of fill that vacancy were coming in a totally different way. Talk about that piece, that Generation C piece.
So I have utilized my social media, Instagram mainly, to attract really my ideal clientele, whether it's the services that I want to perform, maybe the personalities that I'm attracting a specific sort of demographic, I suppose, of people who are either interested in the hair cutting that I'm putting out there, the coloring that I'm putting out there, or maybe even a little bit of my personality or my interests, places that I go, things that I tag. I've been attracting people who are really like-minded and like personalities. So it's been really an enjoyable transformation, an enjoyable process. But I've really made it a point to share the work that I want to do and that I want to attract. So
wow.
Go to my Instagram. Oh, was that another big one?
Well, yeah. Is another, because what I'm hearing you say, and this is really, because this is now kind of like a tutoring session that we're engaging the community on tonight. Would it be an exaggeration to say that at least 50% of the clientele you have today, you did not have, not just prior to COVID, but prior the $20 increase per service, that really did air out or ventilate your clientele, and that for all intents and purposes, you've replaced clients that have kind of trickled down with a different type of client that came from the way you branded yourself on Instagram. And when you told me that, I said, well, by definition, though, that is a very different type of client. They're digital. They hang out not just on social media, but on the internet in general. And so have you, first of all, am I hearing that right? That you really did reimagine your clientele?
Did.
Now, the other part then, Reanna, that I'm just real curious about is how is that client profile, if you will, different than the clients you were saying you've been in the game for 13 years? So the clients that you had been serving for many, many years prior to that, we'll call it major pivot. Can you give us some kind of difference in that client versus the client that you had?
Yeah. So I will say that my existing guests who have been with me along this journey have really transformed with me. They get inspired by the new trends, and they are also interested in what I'm doing and what I'm posting, and they're just as excited about the social media presence as everybody else. So that's kind of cool. They're along the ride with me. And then the new guests that I'm attracting again they're creative people. They're interested again, I feel like I'm enjoying a lot more of what I'm doing behind the chair, and I've been given a lot more creative freedom, if that makes sense.
Yes.
There's a level of trust of someone coming in for the very first time. The building trust in a guest, I feel, is starting prior to them even coming into the salon. So that's a huge point. They're coming already inspired. They're coming already with requests of things that I have done. Their inspiration is coming from the work that I have put out. So I've had a lot of people, it's not about the money. It's not even about the traveling and the location. It's people attracted to the page, the work, the art, the personality.
When you came back from, as you reinvented it, but to me, the big pivot is the price hike. That basically is making an announcement to everyone. I'm reinventing myself. I'm going in a direction. Love to have you come. I understand for whatever reasons if it's not your direction. So any clients that kind of moved on, my hunch is probably more of a traditional than Gen C, Generation C, and you reinvented your Instagram page to attract more Gen C, more clients that came in that at $180 ticket where you didn't have to work so hard to, like, upsell them. They were like coming in sold, if you will. But you mentioned something.
Yeah.
You just did a real quick drive by about hashtag. I'm hashtagging so that my content is going to the communities that have the type of client that I want. Talk more about that piece.
Yes. So I love that piece also. So at one point early in my career, it was all about business cards. It was all about word of mouth, and it still is. Those tools still work. Friends will still tell their friends. That is amazing. We're never going to let that go. But Instagram is a business card that you have a huge amount of reach, way beyond your friends handing a card to another friend or a stranger at the grocery store. So being very intentional with that is something that I've been working on. Hashtags are huge. And actually, I'm glad you bring that up, because I always ask, if somebody sits in my chair for the very first time, or they reach out on Instagram, Facebook, whatever social channel, when they reach out for the first time, I always ask, how did they find my page? Did a friend send them to my page? Did they find it through like a hashtag? And being from Connecticut, I have to say, the number one hashtag lately that people have been sharing with me that they found my page through is Connecticut hair artists. So I encourage all of you, to whatever state you're in, to, whether it's New York, Massachusetts, California, wherever your location, put that before hair artist or hairstylist or hair salon. That will drive business.
All right, so say that one more time. The hashtag that really worked for you, that was a surgical strike, it was hashtag
Connecticut hair artist.
Hashtag Connecticut hair artist. Now, Connecticut, the state, right? It's not the city. You were hashtagging the state, but hair artist. And for whatever reasons, that struck oil. You struck oil there, and you found a number of new clients come in that requested you. And when you said, how'd you hear about me? On Instagram, but specifically hashtagged Connecticut hair artist.
Right.
That's a secret. That's big time secret sauce, Reanna.
It is big time. It is big time. If I hadn't heard it at least 10 times now, I probably wouldn't have mentioned it. But every time I ask, I would say 80% of the time that someone has found me through a hashtag, it has been that one. But regardless, in addition to that, hashtags in general work, locations work. People can find your page through all sorts of ways and hashtags on Instagram.
I'm just guided to say this because you're talking in tongues, right? It's like I don't know if you maybe you've said this before and I just haven't heard you say it, but I wrote it down. You said, there's nothing wrong with, handing out business cards in whatever the traditional way was. But you said Instagram is a business card, but with a much, 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 much greater reach, it's a digital business card. I'd never thought of that before. And then you said, when you understand hashtag, now that business card in one click is going out to hundreds, thousands of the types of clients that you need so that you can make as much or more money working less days a week. I mean, that's what I got from this. Now, am I hallucinating, or is that what you're pointing to?
You're not hallucinating. No, that is exceptionally the point. So if somebody lands on my page and they enjoy the work that I'm doing and it's something that they're attracted to, then they are a potential guest.